Chapter 17. The Myth of Icarus. Long, long ago, on the island of Crete lived a man called Daedalus. Daedalus was a master builder, famous throughout the land for his clever designs and wonderful inventions. News of his work reached the king, who ordered Daedalus to build a maze, a huge labyrinth so complex that no one who went in would ever be able to find their way out. Daedalus gladly took up the challenge, and worked day and night until it was complete. At the center there lived a monster, half man, half bull, known as the Minotaur, and when he wanted to punish the criminals, King Minos would leave them in the labyrinth. No one had ever come out alive. Daedalus had fame and fortune, but there was something missing in his life. There was no one for him to pass on his skills and knowledge to, no one to follow in his footsteps. When his wife gave birth to a son, Daedalus was overjoyed. He called the child Icarus, which means follower in Greek. "I will teach you everything that I know," he whispered to the baby. As soon as he could walk, little Icarus, as he was known, lived up to his name. He followed his father everywhere, to the workshop, where his father hammered and sawed, to the building sites where the workmen swung him onto their shoulders and played with him. And when Daedalus worked on his drawings and designs, Icarus scribbled away on his own piece of paper, frowning just like his father. Things were going well, and everyone was happy. But one day, Daedalus went against the king's orders and helped an innocent young woman to escape from the labyrinth. King Minos was furious and he ordered that Daedalus and Icarus be locked up in the highest tower for the rest of their lives. Did Daedalus deserve such a punishment? Well, some said yes, and some said no, but everyone agreed that the child had done no wrong. His only crime was to be his father's son. Icarus grew from a child to a young man, locked up in the tower. Each day, he gazed out of the window. He watched birds fly past and saw over the narrow winding streets, the whitewashed houses and the red-tiled roofs. They flew freely, high above the labyrinth, past King Minos' palace and out over the silvery sea. How he longed to join them! Icarus imagined the Minotaur pacing around, breathing fire from its nostrils, its eyes blazing red, and for a moment wasn't sure who to feel more sorry for. They were both trapped, the boy in his tower and the monster in his maze. But Daedalus had not been wasting his time. He burned with anger against the king, and was determined to escape. Every day, he would climb up onto the tower roof, and collect the feathers of birds that had drifted down on the breeze. He collected the snow-white feathers of gulls and tail feathers of sea eagles, the down feathers of sparrow chicks and the sharp-tipped wings of swifts. Day by day the mound of feathers grew, and night after night, by candlelight, Daedalus worked on his greatest invention. One bright summer day, he finally put down his tools. "It is finished," he said. In his hands he held a wooden frame in the shape of a cross, tied together with rope. Each arm was covered in feathers. Daedalus strapped it to his son's back, and then picked up a similar one for himself. Father and son stood at the window. "Imagine you are a bird," Daedalus said. "Just flap your arms and you will soar free. But you must remember one thing. Do not fly too high, otherwise the wax holding the feathers together will melt." And with that, he launched himself off the tower. Icarus felt a wild laughter bubbling up inside him as he watched his father glide through the air. He spread his arms, as though embracing the whole world, and leapt into the sky. He flapped his arms, and the wind caught his wings and lifted him up, and he was soaring, laughing, sailing through the bright air. Far below, the townsfolk looked up and gasped, thinking that these were angels flying to their home in heavens. Icarus whooped with joy. They were free. He swooped over the town and out across the bay, feeling light as a feather himself. He raised the seagulls and left the earth far below, his heart beating wildly. Forgetting his father's warning, he flew towards the sun. He felt that he could fly on forever, right up to the heavens, and on towards the stars. As he watched, the figure of his son grew smaller, and Daedalus shouted out to him, but Icarus was too high to hear. The sun blazed down on Icarus's wings, and the wax gluing the feathers together began to soften and melt. And one by one, the feathers began to fall like the first flakes of snow. Daedalus watched helplessly as his son came tumbling out of the sky, flailing his bare arms, and plunged into the ocean. His father flew low over the waves, scanning the water for any sign of life. But all he found were a few white feathers, floating on the surface. He finally came to land on a small island, which he named Icaria in honor of his beloved son, and there he lived for the rest of his days, heartbroken and alone. Glossary: Inventions, creations. Labyrinth: a complicated irregular network of paths. Scribbled: write or draw carelessly or hurriedly. Frowning: furrow one's eyebrows to show concentration. Embracing: holding closely in arms. Flailing: swing wildly. Plunged: jumped or dived.